This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
It's the Pracice Squad quarantine part, I don't know, edition. Things don't seem to be changing a whole lot week to week, Stroz, eh?
No, not at all. The only difference is now I am unemployed. So you were unemployed last week. I am unemployed this week. So it's all catching up to us.
Maybe life changes a little bit, but not a whole lot in the sports world. Did you want to tell us what the hell you're going to do with your life for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever? Because it's weird, dude. It's weird being unemployed.
I'll probably masturbate a lot. Check out chicks on Instagram. I don't know, man. Walk my dog.
I do not think that was what I was intending to get out of this. Okay, so coming up, Spike Stroz being laid off. Thankfully, he got a call from Jamaica, and they want to give him $2.5 million.
I'm a millionaire, baby.
So we're going to talk to Mr. Donald Valley, you said?
That's what it sounds like. We'll play the voicemail, and then we'll make a phone call.
He wants to give you $2.5 million. And then, I don't know about you, Stroz, but I'm scrolling across classic games on Twitter, on Facebook, like on Instagram, everywhere. People are playing classic games. What are the ones you mostly would like to watch? But first, I was informed by somebody here in Houston that under the new NFL playoff format, which is 7 teams per conference, meaning a third wild card gets in, the Lions would have made it in 2017. And what I think is particularly interesting about that is 2017 was the year Jim Caldwell got fired. And at 9-7, I think it was already kind of a debate whether or not he was going to get let go. If he makes the playoffs, he keeps his job, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's no way you can fire him. That means he would have went to the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. He would have went back-to-back years going to the playoffs. And on top of that, looking at who they would have faced, I think there's a real good chance they would have got that playoff win.
So you told me before we started recording it, they would have played Minnesota, who do you have the schedule? I can pull it up right now, if not, in front of you.
I do.
How did they fare against Minnesota earlier on in the year?
So very early in the year, they played Minnesota week 4. They ended up winning 14-7. Matt Stafford threw for 209 yards. Abdullah had 94 on the ground. And then they played Minnesota in
Thanksgiving, I think, right?
What's that? Yes.
It was Thanksgiving.
Yep, it was Thanksgiving. Yep, it was week 12.
Yes. They were the better team in that game.
30-23, they ended up losing. So Stafford threw for 250. Theo Riddick had 20 yards on the ground. So great job there.
Even if they don't win that game, though, 3 out of 4 years in the playoffs, back-to-back years, I agree with you that Caldwell would have kept his job. And I think it's really interesting to just ask how things would look now. Projecting 18 and 19, are they in a better place now if Caldwell... And I don't want to do the, do you wish Caldwell wasn't fired thing, but are they in a better place now if this is the route they go?
I mean, I think so. I don't know how you can say that they wouldn't be. It seems like ever since Matt Patricia has come in, it's been nothing but upheaval, and things have just kind of been flipped upside down. I was interested because when we started kind of putting this together, I looked at the 2018 draft, right? Like, how would the draft have changed? What would they have done a little bit different? And looking at what the Lions ended up taking, they took Frank Ragnow, it was Kerryon Johnson, Tracy Walker, Deshaun Hand, Terrell Crosby, Nick Baldwin. So I don't know if their draft would have changed all that much, because I think that what you had going into that season, you definitely needed to address the offensive line, and that seems like that was a place that Bob Quinn wanted to go. You needed to address the running back. I think that was a place Bob Quinn wanted to go no matter what, and I think Jim Caldwell would have been on board with that, especially with drafting of maybe not drafting Kerryon Johnson, but they needed to address the running back position. And then you start to kind of add pieces for your secondary. I think the one pick that kind of stands out where you're kind of like, wait, what the hell? And it might have been that Tracy Walker pick, because I remember when Tracy Walker was drafted, I remember being at my apartment being like, who the hell is Tracy Walker? And I remember the outpouring on Twitter was, who is Tracy Walker? What is Tracy Walker? Like, none of the beat writers knew who Tracy Walker was. So I think that's where things with that draft might have started to change a little bit, but they only had 5 picks that year. So I don't know if you're going to really improve the team all that much through the 2018 draft.
I think the big thing to look at is they kind of reworked the team significantly under Patricia, at least on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
And to some extent, they were going to have to do that anyways. Glover Quinn was aging.
So I think you would have got another productive year out of Glover Quinn if Caldwell was here, because
maybe
Quinn really liked Caldwell, and Caldwell I think really trusted Quinn.
I guess what I'm wondering, so it's just so interesting because Caldwell 3 out of 4 playoff years is great, but like in reality it doesn't change what he does, right? But like it feels like in my mind it would have changed the way I looked at him. I don't know. You know what's funny is coming into the like when I first thought about this, when the idea was first presented to me, I was on the side of the Lions are in a better spot now. Would have been in a better spot now if he makes the playoffs at 17 and keeps his job. But the more I think about it, it doesn't change anything. I do think Jim Caldwell is a better coach than Matt Patricia. But you know what I think happens if he makes the playoffs in 17? I think he keeps his job in 18. Stafford still fights through a back injury and sucks all year in 2018. Because don't forget that. He was bad last year. They missed the playoffs. Caldwell gets fired. And we're in year 1 of Matt Patricia in 2019.
But is the team better? Because now if you're Bob Quinn, you have multiple drafts underneath your belt, whereas I think when this change was made, he only had the one underneath his belt. So this was going into his second draft. So do you have more pieces? Because I think ever since Bob Quinn got here, the original plan was always to get Matt Patricia here. By hook or by crook, Patricia was going to be your coach no matter what. And I think you've seen that with his first 2 drafts. He was drafting for his guy when he's able to put his guy into that position.
Remind me, did Bob Quinn draft Kyle Van Noy?
No. Kyle Van Noy was before he traded Van Noy.
See, that's the thing, though, because Van Noy would have been a perfect fit for a Patricia defense. So it's odd that he'd make that move to trade Kyle Van Noy. It's weird because, like, I'm with you. I don't want to go so far as to say it was a done deal, but I do think that the day that Caldwell got let go, Patricia was going to become the favorite unless he had another job. And I think all making the playoffs in 17 would have done, unless they won a playoff game. If they lost it to the Vikings in 17, I think all it would have done is prolong the inevitable that Caldwell was going to get fired. Because ultimately, his last 3 seasons were 7 wins, 9 wins, 9 wins. I don't think, man, it's so interesting to think about how things would have changed. Because if he wins a playoff game, does he get leeway in 8?
So I think he might. And so this is the thing, right? I don't know if Matt Patricia would have been there, because like I'm thinking back on it right now. So
I
think Patricia had a job offer. It was between the Lions and I think it might have been between the Giants, or it was between the Lions and it was somebody else where he had to pick. And I think he went with the Lions because of Bob Quinn. So I don't know if he would have been there.
So maybe the Lions are in a better spot by accident.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just kind of lucked up into it. So I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of how that played, because we got to rewind, 3 years here? 4 years?
Back at Jim Caldwell differently? Like, I know it's hard because we know the context, that the record wouldn't have been the same. But if that was the rule we had already been playing with, do you think you'd look at Jim Caldwell differently, making the playoffs 3 times in 4 years?
I mean, I think if you were playing with that rule at the time, yeah, because he's arguably at this time
changed. Nothing would have actually changed.
No.
I think I agree with you. If that's what we were used to, we would have viewed him differently.
He'd have been arguably your most successful head coach. Like, everybody talks about the most successful head coach is Wayne Fontes, but I think at that point it would have been Jim Caldwell because he made it to the playoffs back-to-back years. Wayne Fontes only made it like every other year, and that was because they had that schedule that would really lighten up, and you'd basically get to play the bottom teams every other year depending on how you did. You know what I'm saying? So they would always end up going to the playoffs. Those Lions teams under Wayne Fontes would always end up going to the playoffs because their schedule was so light. So they would just take advantage of it, and they'd end up like 9-7 or 10-6, and kind of get shelled in the playoffs. And I think at this point, Jim Caldwell would probably be your best head coach you've ever had. And I think they probably would have beat that Minnesota Vikings team because
who would they have played next?
After Minnesota,
it would have been the 7 seed, so they would have played the 1 seed. They would have played the team coming off the bye.
That's right, and that team would have been the Eagles. And did they play the
Super Bowl? There's no way in hell they would have beaten the Eagles. I'm open to the possibility. See, I feel like 2017 is going back 1 year too far for me to really remember how good they were. But I do know that last playoff team that lost to Seattle was not good. They didn't belong there.
Nope.
And so my natural thinking is that 2017 team probably wasn't very good.
And that was 2016, that team that lost to Seattle.
And again, that team wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to believe that 2017 team was a team that we really that deserved to be a playoff.
No,
Which
yeah.
I guess rather than to sit here and go roundabouts on where the Lions would be now, I am curious, where are you on 7 playoff teams?
I don't really know yet.
I think that's the easiest answer. It makes me think of when baseball added the wild card game.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I don't like it because I don't know it, but I feel like I could come around to it.
Yeah, it's weird, right? So this is the whole thing about adding a 17th game. I'm so used to everything being 16. So when you look at stats, when you look at records, you have context. So now you add another game, numbers get inflated, things get blown out of proportion. So adding an extra.
But I worry about.
But this is how I look at it, though, right? So now you're adding an extra team. So now do the playoffs get watered down? Do they get diluted? Because I think you can argue that the NFL playoffs are one of the, especially wild card weekend, is one of the most exciting weekends. Now you're adding in another subpar team. I mean, just look at it this year that we're talking about, 2017. It is a 10-6 Falcons team, an 11-5 Carolina team. It is an 11-5 Saints team. It is an 11-5 Rams team. It is a 13-3 Vikings team and a 13-3 Eagles team that goes on to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that is what you have. And then when you lower that bar, you now have a 9-7 Lions team. You also have in that competition, you've got a 9-7 Seahawks team and a 9-7 Dallas Cowboys team and an 8-8 Arizona Cardinals team.
I think you do more often than not is most years 9-7 or 10 or 6. We'll say 10-6. Most years 10-6 will get you in, but you might need tiebreakers to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes 10-6 a relatively safe barrier for entry, I would say. If you get 10 wins, you're probably going to be a playoff team all the time.
Yep.
The one thing as a Lions fan that it certainly changes is the expectation is they compete for playoff games. It's going to be a lot easier to compete to make the playoffs now.
Right. No, absolutely.
I don't know. I'm torn. When I look at it from a local perspective, will I enjoy being... I think it's good in that I don't think it dilutes the playoffs too much. For the most part, the teams that are going to make it are teams that, again, they might lose on tiebreaker anyways. It's not like they're far better than the teams getting in ahead of them. And what it will do is it will make more relevant late season games. You don't want to be basketball or hockey where more than half the league makes it. But in both those sports, 16 teams make it out of 30. In the NFL, there's an additional 2 teams, which isn't significant, but it's still notable. And there's still 2 less teams making it. I don't think you can expand the NFL playoffs anymore. This needs to be it. And I am hesitant. I said that. It's like when the MLB added the wild card game. But I thought MLB adding the wild card game ended up being a major positive. I think this will make it so more teams get to play meaningful games late in the season, and I think that's a benefit.
I think you're right. That is a benefit. I'm just concerned what the overall playoff product now looks like. Because watering it down, I think, does a total disservice to it. And I think you're right. You can't expand it any more than this, because I think that bye week is so important to these teams and vying for the number 1 seed to get that bye week. I think it's a huge carrot that you put out there for teams to fight for.
More than anything, I think that the reason that I look at it and I'm okay with it is because, again, I think more often than not, the 6th seed gets in on tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So the team that loses out, it doesn't always mean that team's a lesser team. I think a lot of times, tiebreakers are tough. It's hard to really say tiebreakers determine the better team. It's just you have to have them, and it works out the way it works out. If it's head to head, it's a better sense. But a lot of times, it comes down to record versus conference opponents. You know what I mean? Is that really a good way to determine the better team? So I think in this case, more often than not, there's not going to be a dramatic difference between the 7th seed and the 6th seed. But we'll see how that plays out. Moving forward, again, we're going to talk about classic games that you're most interested in rewatching, and maybe ones you have rewatched. But coming up next, Stroz, you got a call from Jamaica, and you're a millionaire.
Hello, Adam. How are you doing? This is Mr. Donald Bailey calling you here now from the Publish and Clearance House about your check. The on-claim price check is here for you for $2.5 million, which you need to be delivered. Give me a call at 1-876-797-8875. Thanks.
So that is the phone call that I received, I believe it was Wednesday afternoon. Somebody calling me to let me know that I am a millionaire. Was at work and I was doing some things, putting some things away, and I happened to notice a phone call come in from Jamaica, and I was like, well, that's weird. I know like 3 people from Jamaica, like straight
Wait,
up.
hold on. I don't know anyone from Jamaica. You said that like it's like everyone knows more than 3 people from Jamaica.
Well, so I went. My buddy got married in Jamaica. So when we were in Jamaica, we made friends with different people from Jamaica, and like they wouldn't call me. They wouldn't call me from a landline. Do you know what I'm saying? They would call me from like WhatsApp, or they'd use some type of like Skype or something else. They would not call me from just some random 876 number. Just not happening.
I do got to point out, Mr. Donald Valley was very understandable.
Very understandable.
Every time, so I don't know that I've gotten a call telling me that I had $2.5 million coming my way. I've won a lot of free cruises. They always warn me that my car warranty is going to expire, and a lot of times the IRS threatens me too. But usually I can't understand any of them very well.
Yeah, so I was kind of taken aback by this. Like after he left the message, I listened and I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then the other night we were kind of kicking around ideas, and I was like, I'm a 2.5 millionaire. And maybe,
right time.
Perfect time, right? I was like, maybe we should get this guy on the phone and see what he has to say. And you were like, cool. So one more time, we're going to play the voicemail for you, and then we're going to make a call to Mr. Donald Valley. So here's that voicemail one more time, letting me know that I am worth $2.5 million. So if anybody needs a loan during the coronavirus, call me.
Hello, Adam. How are you doing? This is Mr. Donald Bailey calling you here now from the Publish and Clearance House about your check. The on-claim price check is here for you for $2.5 million, which needs to be delivered. Give me a call at 1-877-797-8875. Thanks.
All right, so let's get this guy on the phone here. I've got him pulled up. And this will be interesting. We'll see how this goes. I usually never call these guys back. If I don't recognize your number, I don't talk to you.
I have no idea if I'm going to be able to hear this guy. This is an experiment.
Oh, yeah, this is because, yeah. So we've got like the most...
a one-way phone call, and if it is, that's okay.
I've got like the most expensive janky board ever. It's brutal. All right, let's see what happens.
You to handle this call if I can't hear it.
Let's see what happens.
Hello?
Hi, my name is Adam Strozinski. I'm looking for, I believe it's Mr. Donald Valley. You called me yesterday?
Speaking. Yes, this is Mr. Bailey. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing pretty great. I was currently trying to contact you, trying to reach you yesterday, that we could not take the time to get a hold of you, so we passionately leave a message on your line. Did you get the message?
I did. Appears I'm in line to get $2.5 million.
That's correctly, sir.
What is this for again? How did I get so lucky?
No, well, sir, this call is registered and monitored for security reasons, and this call is coming straight out after Lottery Sweepstakes Company.
Okay, and I don't remember ever entering a lottery sweepstakes.
But I guess you're probably supposed to be entering at the Publish and Clearance House, right?
I don't ever remember doing that.
Well, I can give you further updates, approximately how you go enter and be selected as a winner here, because your name has been approximately registered at over 839 American citizens here. And the reason for you to do, this promotion has been going on probably at your gas station, could be at your Doug's Pharmacy or your Walmart store to go and shop in, at your favorite grocery store and shopping over $10. And you have signed an entry and have a job you need to enter raffle backs there. And your name has to be joined and registered for this year and this month.
Okay, I see. So at this point in time, what all do I have to do to claim my prize?
Well, let's approximately know what you got to do, because the check's supposed to be released and delivered to you from yesterday. But we understand because of the coronavirus and what is going on here in the United States of America, well, our company decided to go fully all out to let the winners know that as soon as this comes down to a little time, which people can be going back out to begin handle their business, their check could be delivered. But passionately, what we're passionately to do is to have the check to be sent while the UPS and deliver services at your home and address once you're more convenient enough to receive this money.
Oh, I'm totally ready to receive this money.
Yes, sir. But once you're not convenient enough, well, that's where we're going to have a little problem now to make the presentation.
Oh, I see. Because you guys got to come, you got to do the picture, and we've got to do the whole shabam, huh?
Pardon?
We've got to do the whole picture and the whole thing for TV and all that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know what? This comes at a perfect time. I honestly, yesterday, I ended up losing my job. I got laid off because of everything going on with the coronavirus. So you sir, are like an angel. You've come at the right time, and you've stepped in, and I think you're going to help me and my family out. This is fantastic.
Oh, sir, well, this check is yours, and this is not a gimmick, and this is not a hoax, sir. We're not calling you here trying to play any games. You understand?
I appreciate that. That's fantastic. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. So what do we have to do to expedite this whole situation? Now, I understand we've got things going on with the coronavirus, and it appears that the world is falling apart and everything's been turned upside down recently. But what do we have to do or what do I have to do on my behalf to kind of make this
approximately now what the company has done for you here now, in order now for you to receive your certified cashier's check now, here in the United States of America, once you have won over $1 million here in the state, you're approximately it's currently apply taxes. Because our company now is already taking the time down to taking care of 99% of taxes here. Also, with the Irish company, that's what we have paid there for you. Because if the company should leave the taxes and you alone, we approximately know that you could not handle. So that's the reason why we're taking the time out to pay off 99% of taxes. So we're only leaving you now with 1% remaining. And that 1% that the company is approximately leaving you with at this moment, we have registered approval claimable receipt. That is your proof that you need to claim, also from your post office or your Western Union or your MoneyGram outlet should be having your receipt for your claiming. All right.
Okay. So all I have to do is just basically just go to my post office. Then, am I understanding correctly?
Well, this could be picked up at any one of your post office, sir. Which one is more convenient for you? You can have it picked up at your main U.S. post, or you can have it picked up at any one of your local post office.
Okay.
So which one is more convenient for you?
Probably my local post office would be most convenient.
Okay, approximately now. So that's where now you will be taking care of your 1% of your taxes there.
So I have to pay the 1% of the $2.5 million for the taxes at the post office or Western Union. I got to get it to you guys.
No. Well, the 1% is now of the Irish taxes that you will be taking care of. That will be handled with you and the delivery team when they arrive at your home. So what you're taking care of now, your release and fee, so your check could be cleared and delivery. All right? So the 1% of the taxes, whatever time you receive your check, that will be paid at your tax revenue. All right?
So I'm a little bit confused still. So how much do I have to pay, and what exactly is my money going for?
Okay, well, what you're paying for now is your release and charges, all right? Because you already have won the check already now. So you're paying for your release and charges.
Okay.
So the check will be released from the company to be delivered at your residence, sir.
Okay. And that's the 1%, right?
No, sir, that is not the one. The 1%, listen, the 1% in that you're going to be paying, whatever time you receive your certified check at your home, sir, and your cashier check, you will be taking care of your 1% at your tax revenue, sir, okay?
Okay, so that'll get taken care of when I file my taxes then.
Yeah, when the taxes will be taken care of when the check is arrived at your home.
Okay.
And your cashier check that will be paid by you in person.
So how much am I paying, or how much money do I have to come up with up front here to get the check?
Okay, the shipping and handling fee that you're going to be taking care of is only for $2,300.
$2,300.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have to go to the bank. I've got to get a cashier's check for $2,300, and then I've got to get this to you guys.
So all these documents we got to do. So how far away from your home your bank is located?
It's pretty close. It's like around the block.
Okay, so what we have to do here now for you, sir, and you said that your we could be handling all of this today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and I heard you just say something that you get fired from your job, sir.
I did.
What do you mean by you get fired?
I've been let go because of the coronavirus, so I can't work.
Oh, okay. So you said you get fired from your job, and so what are you planning to do with this money when you receive it?
I mean, That's $2.5 million. That's a lot of money, man. There's a whole lot I can do. I mean, for sure, I'm going to try to take care of my family, but I've got some debts that I can pay off, and I mean, maybe once all this kind of blows over and everything kind of quiets down, I think I might go on a really long vacation.
Okay, that's pretty wonderful. So, do you have a car that you drive, sir?
I'm sorry, one more time. Do I have a card or a car?
Yeah. Do you have a car that can take you around?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I live in Michigan, man. We have cars.
You have cars. Okay. So how long this will take, to go get the $2,300 from the bank and get back?
Should probably only take me, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes.
All right. So could you be able to get it in cash, sir?
Oh, well, get the $2,300 in cash?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm assuming I probably could, as long as the bank has the money.
So will you be able to get that in cash?
Yeah, I should be able to.
All right. So can you get it in cash and return back a call as soon as possible, sir?
I mean, we could probably do that. You want me to call you back when I have all the money?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what are we going to do? Do we meet up or how's this work? You came through as that you're calling me from Jamaica. Are you calling me from Jamaica right now? Maybe I'll come visit you on my trip. Maybe we can become friends. I mean, you are hooking me up with $2.5 million here.
Pardon?
Well, I mean, on my phone it came through that you're calling me from Jamaica. So are you in Jamaica, or are we going to meet up? How do I got to get this money to you? Because, I mean, that's a lot of money to kind of run around with. And, if I got $2.5 million, maybe I'll come visit you in Jamaica. We'll hang out.
No, I'm contacting you here from Queens, Jamaica, sir.
Oh, Queens, Jamaica. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, maybe I should come visit you when I get this check and we can hang out.
Well, that's no problem, sir. You're free to do that. I could give you the address for the main office where you can come there.
That would be fantastic.
And, yes, sir.
So what do I have to do? I have to go get all this cash, and then I've got to call you back, right?
Yes, sir. Immediately.
Immediately. Okay. All right. Well, then I think we need to disconnect this call because I've got to run to the bank and try to get some of this money so we can make this thing happen.
All right. So get it done and return back a call as soon as you get it in cash. All right.
Absolutely. This way, real quick, just so I kind of know and have a heads up of what's going to happen after this. I'll call you back, and then what are we doing? What are we planning here?
Okay, when you call me back now, I'm going to provide you now with the address of the claims department where you have your money to be sent.
Okay.
So you get your receipts for your delivery.
So,
all right.
So do you want me to send it in cash? Wouldn't it be better if I sent it in a check form? I mean, that's a lot of dollar bills to stuff in an envelope and mail it.
Well, sir. Well, you get it in cash, and I will explain to you how it works. Okay.
Okay. You can't explain it to me now, real quick, before I go? I don't want to have to run back out to the bank because I want to expedite this as fast as possible.
No. Well, listen. Once you get it in cash, you're not going back to the bank. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you get it. So make sure. Are you serious about receiving your money, sir? Or are you not interested to receive it?
Oh no, I'm very interested. I mean, that's why I'm calling you.
Okay, sir. Well, go get it. Go get it in cash and return a call.
Okay, we can do that. I just want to make sure we try to take care of everything that we can take care of and expedite the process as quickly as possible. I understand it's going to be a little bit of a delay because of the coronavirus, but I just don't want to have to run to the bank and then something else crazy happen. If I could just take care of it all at once, I'll take care of it all at once for you.
Well, I understand what you're saying, sir.
All right, so go get the money and then call you back, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that sounds good. So we'll be in touch.
Okay, sir. Bye for now.
All right. Bye.
Unique to listen from my perspective, Stroz. I only got one side of the call. Any thoughts on Mr. Donald?
Dude, this guy's an ass clown.
Okay, so it was. You had a good time with him.
He was fun. Legitimately, I think this guy's going to show up outside my door and try to mug me for $2,300.
I do got to tell you, this isn't to poke too much fun at anyone who's ever fallen for one of these, but I could not help but laugh my ass off. My dad, have you ever gotten those pop-ups that tell you that your computer has been infected and you need to download the...
Yes.
Yeah, my dad fell for one of those.
Bro, I look at a lot of porn sites, so yes.
My dad fell for one of those, and the next thing you know, he gave them control of his computer, and he could see them doing things.
No.
He had to unplug his computer and have an IT guy come in. I'm not kidding. He had an IT guy from my mom's old work come in to make sure everything was safe.
Bro, that's terrifying. Because you're like, holy crap, what did I... Like, you realize it as it's unfolding in front of you, and you're freaking out.
Thank God he realized it, so nothing ended up happening.
Like, I'm always worried about my mom and my dad, because they're, like, total boobs when it comes to, like, doing stuff on computers. Like, they just struggle at life with it. So, but now he's like, oh, my computer's not working, and I keep hitting the button, but I don't know. Then I got this thing that says I need to download... I was like, don't download... Don't, just whatever, don't do it, Dad. Do not download that program. Okay, well, I didn't. I called you first.
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Well, I don't advise anyone else call Mr. Donald Valley because I don't think you're going to get your $2.5 million. It's only
But if anybody wants to call him, his number is... I'm going to leave his number on here, too. 876-797-8875. Call that guy.
See if you get $2.5 million from Donald Valley. Coming up next, the classic games you'd most likely watch. So, Stroz, when you originally presented this idea to me, you actually brought up iconic sports moments. And there's a couple of reasons I wanted to kind of twist that a little bit. For one, I think the vast majority of people my age, and it wouldn't surprise me if you say this too, the Magglio Ordonez walk-off to send the Tigers to the World Series in 2006, if it's not number one, it's very close to the top of your most iconic moments. But when you think of classic games you'd watch, I don't think I would even consider rewatching Game 4 of that ALCS. So I think it's a little bit of a different twist. But also, I wanted to bitch about something. Because I've seen all sorts of classic games, like, I've seen a lot of them on Twitter being replayed. I've seen some on Facebook. Like, you know, they're playing these classic games all over the place. I've only seen 2 Detroit games. One was the Game 7 heartbreaker the Pistons had to the San Antonio Spurs. And the other was a Game 5 loss in the conference finals to the Boston Celtics in 2007, 2008? I don't know, sometime around then. And I'm annoyed that, like, you had all these years of the going to work Pistons. You could have given me one of their wins over the Lakers in the championship. They had some great games against the Heat. And you only got to click the games I'm most likely to rewatch, Stroz. The going to work Pistons are probably at the top of that list multiple times. And the only classic games I'm seeing are losses.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't surprise me. And that is frustrating because that Pistons team had some iconic games. One of the iconic games that was a loss was Chauncey Billups' three-pointer against the Nets in that first round.
So that game, I remember, that was the second round.
Was it the second round?
Yeah, they swept the Bucks that year in the first round. The going to work Pistons are like, I cannot describe what they mean to me in terms of nostalgia. Like the going to work Pistons are my childhood. Yeah, that was to the New Jersey Nets in Game 5. It actually put them down 3-2 in the series.
Yep.
My dad was working, and I remember calling him when Chauncey hit that shot to tell him the Pistons just went into overtime on a half-court shot. And then they went into double overtime, and it wasn't on a half-court shot. But, of course, like, I let him know about that one. I called him again. Hey, they're going to double overtime. Or how about, like, the block, the game with the block over the Pacers? That was a guarantee that the Pistons were going to win that game. I could just name game after game of those Pistons that I would go back and watch.
Yeah, they had some pretty fantastic ones. The Malice at the Palace game.
Yeah.
Anytime that comes on, just stop. The block, like you said, with Tayshaun on Reggie Miller.
I don't know if we've talked about this, but during the Malice at the Palace, I was young. I was 4th, 5th grade maybe, and my mom had like a strict bedtime, and so like she came in. I was watching that game. She came into my room and told me I had to go to sleep. Like they would turn the TV off. And I woke up in the morning to find out like what happened at the end of that game.
Oh, were you so mad at her?
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated. The next day I went to school and like I had all sorts of friends talking about it, and I had friends who like claimed they were there, of course. And here I am, like, I only watched it until the third quarter.
But
I've watched it a million times.
Yeah, well, of course.
I've watched that so many times.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, it was. There are a couple other games that I absolutely love, and there's a couple games that I can't bear to watch. So when we were talking about this, the Steve Yzerman goal against John Casey when the Red Wings beat the St. Louis Blues, and I think it was in a Game 7, Steve Yzerman basically roofs one as he crosses over the blue line. Like John Casey never seen it coming. Didn't know it even blew by him until he heard it hit the inside upper crossbar. And at that point, Yzerman was jumping up and down. And one of the more iconic moments that I remember Because I remember exactly where I was. I was a child. I was laying in my mom's bed. My mom was asleep, and I was laying in her bed watching her TV. And he scored because it was I think it was like a double overtime or triple overtime game. And I ended up waking her up. I was so pumped. And she was like, "What are you doing? Why are you even in here?" I was like, "I'm watching the game." But I was
what year
super.
Was that?
I want to say that was 1990.
7 is what comes to my mind.
I don't think it was 97. I think it was 96.
Okay, so I'd have been 3. Like, obviously, I'm very familiar with the moment, but I was too young. The only Red Wings moment that comes to mind for me, you know what? Could you guess this? I feel like you can guess this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, context. I am 26 now. So those 90s teams, those late 90s teams, I was young.
Yes.
Any thoughts on what one Red Wings game comes to mind that I would rewatch?
The Darren McCarty beating the crap out of Claude Lemieux?
No. Although it's ununderstandable, I guess. No, it was chasing Patrick Waugh. 7 goals.
Oh, dude, that game was fantastic. Here's the thing. Patrick Waugh for the Montreal Canadiens was like my favorite goaltender at that time. Like, I loved Patrick Waugh. There was so much drama wrapped up in that game. It was amazing. It was absolutely crazy, dude. That game was awesome.
The thing is, like, as an adult, you enjoy a 7-goal game, but as a kid, like, I think you would, like, because as an adult, you're like, this game has been over for a long time. As a kid, you're just like, no, score more. Like that. And like the 2002 Red Wings were the first championship team that I was really into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the same level of nostalgia for them that I did for the Pistons, but they were the first team. I will say, I was a big Dominik Hasek fan. I remember, not kidding, I was in 2nd grade, so forgive me, crying that he won the Stanley Cup and was probably going to leave or retire.
Mm-hmm.
In 2nd grade, I was so sad that he was going to leave. That's it for hockey. And, you know, I mentioned like the Maglio home run. I don't think I could rewatch any baseball game.
Oh, really?
Maybe a no-hitter. Like maybe Verlander's no-hitter. But
What about Galarraga's almost perfect game?
I watched that entire game live, start to finish. I do not need to see that again.
By the way, Steve Yzerman's goal on John Casey was May 16th, 1996. It was Game 7, double overtime.
So I hadn't even turned 30 yet.
Wow. You're so young. I forget how young you are.
Yeah, I turned 3 9 days later. So I'm obviously familiar with it, but did not see that. Did you watch the Galarraga game?
I did. And I remember being like, how did you get that wrong? Like, I remember watching it and just sitting on the edge of my seat and then being like, how did you get that so wrong? I couldn't understand it.
So you were done with school by then.
Yes.
But did you ever have days, because this was one of those, I had days in school where like sporting events happened that I was excited to see everybody and talk about them. Like, I was obviously not happy what happened, but the moment it was over, I was like, I cannot wait to get to school tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have to talk to everybody about this.
Yeah. So one of the cool things.
That's what the mouse tells us that too.
So the Grant Hill Piston teams, me and my buddy Jeff, my best friend, we would sit on. This is back when you had phones that had cords and they were attached to walls, and we had a small, I don't know, it was like 7, maybe 8-inch TV in our kitchen, and I would sit in the kitchen by the phone watching that TV when the games were broadcast on UPN 50, and we would watch every basketball game together. And then we would go to school the next day and we would talk to everybody about everything that happened. Like, it didn't matter what it was. We just talked about it. It was fantastic. So no, yes, I had those days as well. Absolutely loved those days. They were great. Going back to the Red Wings real quick, games I can't watch. I cannot watch the 2009 Stanley Cup championship game, the Game 7. That game broke my heart.
Where you were moment for me.
Yeah. I was in Greektown. I was in Greektown. I was crying out in front of Pizzapopolis.
I remember my dad and I driving around from sports bar to sports bar looking for a place we could find a seat, and everywhere was full because they just won the championship the year before.
Yep.
I mean, I make fun of hockey, and I think deservedly so. But everybody was a Red Wings fan at that time. And it was like, you know, you just won the Stanley Cup. You're in Game 7 of another one. We had to drive all over the place till we find a place that had a seat for us.
Yeah, it was, dude. It was wall to wall. It was packed. Downtown was madness. We started off at Bookies, and we were on the rooftop. And then we decided to move during intermission, and we ended up over by.
We were at Bookies for Game 7.
Yeah, Dude, it was like there was like a upstairs bar that had like it was like TVs. It was great. It was a nice little setup.
You're incredible.
What? I told you, man. I'm different. Then we ended up at. It wasn't Pizza Popolis. There was like a bar next to Pizza Popolis. I don't remember what it was called, but that's where we were at. And I just remember them losing and being unconsolable. Like nobody could calm me down. I was in tears. I had people walking by me on the street. Like, damn, is he gonna be okay?
The Lions playoff game against Dallas.
Yes.
Because they went up and they were so dominant early, and that was with a dominant defense. Like, I have been a cautiously optimistic Lions fan for a long time. Yep. I'm always, especially while watching a game, hesitant to like get too excited. Even when I remember when the Lions went up 21-0 on the Chargers to start the season a few years back.
Oh yeah,
I remember watching it with my dad, and my dad's like, "This game's over. This is a Super Bowl contender." And like I'm sitting there like, "Calm down. It's only 21. It's still early." But like watching that Dallas game, the Lions were just so good early in that game, and that defense was so good all year long. I just couldn't see any way. Like I'm sitting there in the first quarter thinking, "There's no way. Like the Lions are going to win this game." And to have them lose the way they did, like that one, like I can feel it coming back now. Like really, I can. Like my body is like chilling as I like just feel that pain of like we're so close to like such a high as Lions fans. And speaking of the Lions, I do got to plug our podcast, Pracice Squad presents Throwback, where we go over the 2011 Lions season. We're about to coming up not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. We're going to discuss Week 5 of 2011 over the Chicago Bears, which I think the only reason I'm super excited to rewatch that is because I was there. I don't know. You were there too, so we don't really have a differing point of view. But like I've mostly been watching games in condensed versions because the NFL Game Pass allows it. I'm going to sit down and watch the full game against Chicago Bears on Monday night 2011 because that was such a high.
Yeah. That game was absolutely crazy, and you have to hear how the fans reacted in the middle of plays during that game. It was amazing. So when the Lions were on defense, the stadium was absolutely raucous. When the Lions were on offense, the stadium did a good enough job trying to quiet down, but everybody was so pumped and so jazzed up that it was like a dull, mild roar. I don't know, man. It was the craziest place. Like I remember being in the stands, and I could feel you can feel the reverberations just bouncing off the wall and hitting you in the chest, and it would just like it would thump you like you got hit with a cinder block. That's how hard and how crazy and loud everybody was.
Well, and you got to remember too. At this time, the Tigers were in the I want to say
ALCS
CS against the Texas Rangers.
Yep.
And they were on earlier in the day. So I don't know about you, but I was downtown watching that game. It was in Texas, but I was in downtown Detroit watching that game. So like, and there were a lot of people there. Like the bars were filled at like, dude, it was like 3 p.m. on a Monday, and downtown Detroit is popping. So like, I have to think that played a role in how. I mean, first of all, the Lions were 4-0, first Monday night game in a long time. But you also had people down watching the Tigers. Like, that had to play a role in just how poppin' that place was.
Oh, absolutely. That was like one of those days where one of the greatest sports days of all time, right?
That day will forever be one of the best days of my life.
I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if the Red Wings had a game that day as well. They had to do some scheduling issues. Like there were scheduling issues because downtown was just going to be too full. Like the city couldn't handle the capacity because I think you had I know they moved the Tigers game to earlier in that day, so it didn't compete with
I had to look it up. I couldn't remember. The Tigers lost that game on a walk-off grand slam.
Really? Was that? Did Valverde explode?
It was 3-3 in the 11th inning. It was Ryan Perry who gave up the grand slam. I do remember that being a close game. The Rangers went up early. Tigers came back to take the lead in the 3rd. Rangers tied it up in the 7th, and then they went scoreless all the way till the 11th. And I believe that was Nelson Cruz. Yes, Nelson Cruz had 5 RBIs in that game.
Dude.
I think that we were unable to watch the end because I was like, you know me. I'm a Lions fan first. Like I wasn't about to miss the start of that.
Oh, for sure. For sure. No, I totally get it.
Yeah, that even with that loss, thankfully I wasn't watching it. That day, I would go back and relive that day.
Yeah, that was
quicker than any other day in my life.
That was a fantastic day. Like it was crazy, man. It was absolutely nuts. Literally tune in next Sunday, right around 12:30, 1 o'clock ish is when that podcast drops. It's the Pracice Squad presents the throwback. That'll be episode 3. And
of course, tune in this week too. Where we talk
absolutely.
About Dallas and Minnesota week 3 and 4.
Absolutely, tune in this week too. I'm curious, and I want to save it for next week for that podcast. I'm curious as to what your reaction was during that game, and then when you were leaving the stadium of that game, because I had one, and I'm curious to see if we were on the same page.
Talk about it. Any other games you want to get to before we wrap it up here?
No, I think we kind of covered all of them, man. At least 4 major sports.
Well, different podcast, but hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Give Mr. Donald Bailey or whatever his name is, give him a call and see if you guys can get $2.5 million.
All right, thanks for listening. This is the Pracice Squad.